Hello friends, happy Monday. So I thought I would try something a little different for me this week. It's currently, what did my phone say? September 25th. We have 6 more days until October. And I have 3 books that I'm currently in the middle of, and I also have 3 books that were on my TBR for the month that I haven't touched yet. And I know I am not going to read 6 books in 6 days. God, I hope I'm not going to read 6 books in 6 days. That sounds like a lot of information to cram into my head. But I would like to get maybe done with the 3 that I'm in the middle of, and then one of the ones that was on my TBR. But I am predominantly a polyreader, and that means sometimes it takes me quite a bit of time to finish a book because I'm being pulled in so many different directions. So I thought for funsies, I would maybe just read 1 book at a time this week and see how it goes. And it might be a fun time, or I might have a total breakdown because I don't know how to focus on only one thing at a time anymore. So, it could go either way. I am currently reading The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. And I technically started doing this yesterday, which is why you saw some B-roll footage of yesterday evening. And I was on page 67, I think, yesterday morning when I woke up. And then I finished at like page 200 and something last night. And now I was listening to the audiobook today during drop-off before school and while I was driving to work and then driving home. Oh, I think I'm about at page like 330 or something like that now. That's pretty good progress for one day of only focusing on one book. I'm going to keep going with that. This is book 2 in the Scholomance series. And I really liked book 1. The Scholomance is like a magical boarding school for, I guess, wizards, magicians. What are they? Who even knows? I don't even know what they call themselves. I don't remember. Magicians? Magic? What was it? Anyways, obviously it's magic. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to eat lunch, so I should have done that before I did this intro. But the school is like actively trying to kill the kids 100% of the time, but because there are these creatures called mals that are like magical monsters that like to eat magical people, and they really just come after the kids hard when they're out in the real world. And so even though the Scholomance is super brutal, the kids have a better chance of surviving the Scholomance than they do surviving the real world without the protection and the knowledge that they gain in the Scholomance. And our main character is Galadriel, Elle for short, and I love Elle because she is, in the first book especially, like unapologetically rude and brash, and just, I find her wonderful in so many ways. And so book 1 is her junior year in the Scholomance, and then in The Last Graduate, she is in her senior year, and we are counting down to graduation. And graduating the school is really risky as well. The survival odds are not great. And so in this one, she and her friends are trying to figure out how they are going to survive graduation. And I really like it. I really like watching Elle learn how to make friends. It's so sweet. And this book has had some moments with the people that she has grown close to that I have just absolutely loved. So it also has taken a turn I did not anticipate, so I'll be interested to see where we wrap up. And there is one more book in the series, which I already have the audio from the library from, so that could throw a wrench in my TBR this week, because there's a very good chance that I will finish this and then roll right into book 3 instead of reading the other things that I'm supposed to read first. So we shall see how this goes. I'm gonna go eat lunch. My kids are all having friends over after school today, so I have like 2 hours to eat lunch, do some chores, run some errands, maybe work out. We'll see. I did start my period this morning, so I'm not super committed to the working out portion of the schedule unless I do stretching. I could stretch. Stretching sounds good. But I'm not super committed to, going to the gym today. I'm just taking it on a we'll see how I feel basis. That is the update, and I'm going to go eat lunch, and I will, I guess, come back when I finish this book, since I have, I think 2 hours left on the audio. My one complaint, though, for this book, I will say, is that the chapters are super long. The chapter I'm on right now on audio is an hour and a half long, and I don't know why it needs to be that long. I don't know why one of the, page breaks could have just been the end of the chapter. But other than that, big... Okay, I'm going to go eat lunch now. I can't believe that's how that ended. Though maybe I shouldn't be surprised that's how it ended. I can't believe that's how it ended. Okay, well, I'm waiting to pick my youngest up from school, and I can't read when I get home. I have some time to think about what I want to do next, but my impulse is definitely to dive right into book 3, but I should probably finish something else that I'm already reading first. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll say, okay, so I'm already reading The Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Oh my gosh. The Daughter of the Moon Goddess, which I'm liking fine. I'm not loving it, but maybe if I tell myself that the Golden Enclaves can be my reward for finishing Daughter of the Moon Goddess, that will be the way to go. But we'll see what I decide when I get home. Y'all, I am still thinking about that ending for The Last Graduate. On the one hand, it was such a bitch of an ending. On the other hand, it was kind of predictable ending for a YA fantasy. I mean, I know technically Scallamance isn't YA, but it is YA. Not in a bad way. I don't understand why this isn't in the YA section. I keep thinking about that ending. But I promised myself I would work on the books I'm already reading and not start an entirely new book. So I'm going to continue with Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I'm 55% of the way through. Although I'm going to try to read a little bit before this one goes to bed. And I'll update later. Hey friends. So I am currently stuck in my car while I wait for this delivery truck to move so I can leave the bookstore and go to my job. But I did pick up a copy of the Golden Enclave, so I can dive into that whenever I feel like it. I'm still going with Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I read quite a bit last night and a little bit more this morning, and I 75% of the way through it, and I like it fine. I'm not a huge fan. I feel like this book got a lot of praise and a lot of people really love it. I think the writing is good. I like our main character. The thing is, I am finding the romance. Oh my gosh, the sun just got very bright. No, that doesn't help. Okay. I am finding the romance plotline's really boring, and my attention span tanks big time. So I'm in part 3, and she's going on her big quest that I'm sure will lead to a big cliffhanger, and so I'm hoping the romance stuff is more or less wrapped up. I'm finding her journey as a soldier, as a warrior, I'm finding that a lot more compelling, and I am really engaged when she is focused on her quest to free her mother, and then I am quickly lose it when it switches to the romance. Right now I think it's sitting at probably a 3, maybe a 2.75, depending on how the ending goes. All right, the sun is just getting brighter, so I'm gonna go, and hopefully this truck moves soon so I can go to work. I am chaperoning my youngest's field trip today, so wish me luck and that it does not rain, because we are going to be outside the whole time.
Wednesday. I finished Daughter of the Moon Goddess last night as my eyelids were sliding closed. And then I read the acknowledgements this morning, because I always read the acknowledgements. And I'm going to give it a 3. I liked the writing. I liked our main character. I thought she teetered into not like other girls' territory, or maybe not teetered into it, but like she was like hovering right on the edge of that, like not like other girls trope. And I don't love that, but I thought the author pulled her back from that towards the last like quarter of the book. There is a love triangle element that I was not a fan of. And I wasn't a super big fan of the romance in general and just the way it played out. I understand why it played out that way, but it's just not my thing. It's not my favorite. I mean, I like romance and fantasy books, but I don't know, the way this one played out, I just didn't enjoy a lot. I also felt like it slowed down plot-wise when she was focusing on the love triangle stuff, and then when it was about singing, trying to free her mother and, you know, moving forward with that goal, I thought the pace was a lot faster. So I do have the second book on audio from Libro FM. So I will probably listen to it maybe next month. Yesterday was super duper busy with my kids' field trip and then all of our normal Tuesday evening things. Gosh, am I gonna sneeze again? Today is late start for us, so my kids don't have to be at school until like an hour later, which means our morning's a little slower, which is nice. And I am now on to The Wolf of Oren Yarrow by K.S. Veloso. And this is on my self-destructing TBR. We have like 4 days left in the month. And I have this far to go. This is really why I'm doing this challenge. I need to finish this book. And I still have 3 other books that I wanted to read. Who knows? I have until Saturday, which is when this challenge and vlog are going to end. I do have this on audio, and I am intrigued by this world. I like that following this queen of this kingdom, and her husband basically ran away from her and their child when the kid was a baby and just abandoned them, and has only really contacted her to send her a letter right after telling her how awful she is. Now we've skipped ahead and the kingdom is kind of fractured and falling apart, and she gets another letter from her estranged husband asking her to meet him, and so she goes to this other kingdom to meet him. And so that's where I'm at. But the back of the book says that there's an assassination attempt, and then she ends up stranded in this land that she's unfamiliar with. So I haven't gotten to that part yet. She's just at this other city, and like I said, I like the writing style. I like that we have an older heroine, especially after I just finished reading 2 fantasy books with very young protagonists. I'm kind of excited to read about somebody who's a little bit older and someone who's a parent. I don't like that it's first person POV. I'm hoping I come around. I, for whatever reason, just associate first person POV in fantasy with YA fantasy. I don't know if we would want to unpack that. I'm sure that's something I need to unpack and deal with. But for now, that's where my struggle is at. But again, I am not very far. I am 35 pages into this book, so I hope to get some good reading time with it today. Wednesdays are slower. Thank goodness, because I need a slow day after the chaos that is Tuesdays. But okay, I better go do some reading if I'm going to do this before my children wake up.
Did you move at all this morning? You're so cozy. I need to make my bed, though. It's like 12:30. It's almost 1 o'clock. I've been gone since almost 9 o'clock, and she's still here. Oh, I want to come back as a cat in my next life. I think that sounds like a pretty sweet gig right now. All right, I have an update. I have two updates. One, I didn't get as much reading done this afternoon as I had initially hoped because by the time I got home from work and the gym, I was about ready to murder somebody for a cookie. Now, I have also been craving cookies like crazy the last 3 days since I started my period, basically. I've wanted a cookie so bad. Love cookies. They're my favorite treat, like dessert thing. I'm not a huge fan of cake. I do really love ice cream, and I really love pie, and then I really love cookies. But I don't bake them very often because I have almost no self-control when there are cookies in the house. But I had to make cookies. So I spent part of the time I've been at home watching YouTube and baking chocolate chip cookies, and I'm so happy. Okay, and then I've also read some more of The Wolf of Oren Yarrow. Okay, and I got over my weird first person bump or whatever. I am now, how many pages? 84-ish pages in. And I'm liking it a lot. I am really liking how quick to anger Talion is. Is that her name? I don't know if I'm saying it right. Let's hope I am. I'll have to listen to the audiobook some more. I mean, on the one hand, she's the freaking queen, and this woman pops off so fast. She loses her temper so fast, but also can relate. And she's very sarcastic. I don't know how old she is supposed to be. I always feel like the art on here makes her look quite a bit older, but I think she's still her late 20s, maybe her early 30s. I feel like this illustration makes her look like she's 40-ish, in her 40s, but I think she's much younger. So maybe not the older heroine I was hoping for, but that's okay. I'm still digging it. I was wrong earlier when I said I thought I was close to the assassination attempt. She's just now meeting with her ex-husband, and whew! Oh man, those are some angry, bitter people who should absolutely not be together. And I'm actually kind of glad the kid has not been in here a whole lot. He was in the very beginning, and now she's traveling, so he's not with her. And I prefer that because as much as I love working with children, I love working with really young children. That age is my sweet spot. And I love being a mom. I love being around kids, but I don't want children in my books because I have them in my life. I don't need them here too. But anyways, I'm having a better time with it than I was this morning. So that is good. So it is like 2 o'clock. Yes, I need to eat my cookie. Go pick up my youngest from school. My mom's coming over this afternoon to hang out with us. So I don't think there'll be very much reading in my future, but that's what bedtime is for, I guess. I'm also, can I just say how grateful I am that we don't have to go anywhere today, like after school. Like Wednesdays are our chill day, and I so appreciate it because Tuesdays are bananas, and I am always so happy when Wednesday rolls around and nobody has any classes or activities or anything. It's the best. All right, I will update. Probably not tonight. I'll update again tomorrow. Okay. Bye. friends. I was talking to a couple of friends earlier today about how I'm, only reading one book at a time this week. And I said some things in the voice message that I was leaving that I wanted to say on here as well before I forget them, because this is supposed to be like a challenge for me to only be reading one book at a time. And so I kind of wanted to talk about that, and it has been interesting the last 5 days of only reading one book at a time, because I go through periods of restlessness, like internally. I don't even know if that makes sense, but I just feel really restless, and I go through periods where I feel really not uneasy, but not centered in myself the way I usually feel. And I find that those periods of restlessness are when I tend to start new books, because I'm looking for something to stop that feeling, or to help alleviate that feeling. And in only reading one book at a time, I've been really having to sit with that feeling. I notice it the most in the evening, right before bed. It also tends to pick up midway through the month. So because I'm at the end of the month, I don't think it's as intense. It'd be interesting to do this challenge in the middle of a month, when I'm really tending to pick up, a bunch of books at once, and then I end up reading 5 books at the same time. But I was reflecting today that I have not read this way for most of my life. As a kid and a teen, and even through college and in my 20s, I only read one book at a time. I don't think I ever really picked up multiple books at once, unless I had a book that I was reading for school and for class. And then, let's be honest, I wasn't really reading it, I was skimming it. And then whatever book I was reading for fun. And it's only maybe been in the last 4 years, maybe, that I've become a polyreader, and somebody who reads between like 3 and 5 books at the same time. And I definitely think it's a product of shorter attention spans, and my brain just isn't used to having to sit with one thing for an extended period of time, because we have our phones, and we have social media, and we have our busy lives, and there's all these things that are pulling our attention, and so we're just not used to really having to sit with one thing anymore. That part's been interesting. I definitely, was it last night? I really wanted to start a new book. Partly because I was tired and I'd gotten into bed, and I've gotten into the habit a little bit of reading my Kobo when I'm in bed. And I had already finished my ebook, and I don't have the ebook for The Wolf of Oren-Yaro, and I don't really want to get the ebook for it. Don't want to pay for this book a second time. I mean, technically a third time, because I used a Libro FM credit to get the audiobook, so I don't want to spend more money on this one book. I don't need it. My twins interrupted me, so I have no idea where I was with this. But anyways, hopefully there's something insightful in there somewhere. And book-wise, I'm about 50% of the way through The Wolf of Oren-Yaro, and I'm liking it, but I'm not super invested. Right now, I would say it's probably 3.5 stars. And part of that is I feel like I was misled a little bit in the way this book has been not marketed, but maybe in the way social media has talked about it. Our friend social media. Because I was under the impression that our main character, Talion, was an older heroine. I feel like people always mention that she's a little bit older and that she's a mother. And I'll be honest, she's only 26. That's still so young. She's still such a baby. I was really hoping for like a heroine in her 30s, but she's not. And the motherhood thing hasn't really come into play. Her son was in the very beginning, very briefly, and she's thought about him a few times, but her being a mother hasn't really been a thing yet. Maybe it'll become more prevalent the second half, but I haven't really felt like it's a driving force of this book. So I feel like I was misled a little bit by BookTube specifically, and I don't know.
maybe I'd be liking it more if I had had a more realistic idea of what the book actually was. And I think because I'm not 100% invested, that also, I wanted to start a new book so bad last night, especially because I have like a middle grade on my little immediate TBR stack that I keep on my dresser. And I was like, God, if I started that, I could knock that out in like 2 or 3 days, but that's not the point. That's not the point. So I am refraining. I am going to keep reading The Wolf of Oren. Tomorrow is Friday. I have the day off. Have to go grocery shopping, which is always like prime audiobook time for me. And I'm just going to write it out. I'm going to write out this feeling. I'm going to keep reading the book. I'm going to get over this hump. It'll be fine. I'll get a lot of quality reading time in tomorrow. But I don't think I'll update again until I finish the book, unless I have like another epiphany about my reading practices. Y'all, I didn't like it. Okay. I'm giving it a 2.75. Here's the thing. Here's what happened. God, I'm so bummed. I really thought this was going to be a fave and that I was going to like really love the series, and I just liked this. I just liked this so much. K.S. Villoso did my least favorite thing in fantasy books, where every single man wanted to essay the main character. Every single one. Every threat to her was a threat in that nature. This is also a fantasy where the patriarchy is alive and well, and every single man is absolutely horrendous and horrible. And I feel like this is really a book where the author tells you things instead of showing you, but then doesn't back up what is being told, because we're told over and over and over again that Talion has had all this strategy lessons, and her father was a warlord and he really taught her how to think strategically and be a leader, and I never saw it in her decisions. This is also one of those books where nobody can make a well thought out decision to save their lives. Everybody makes the most impulsive decisions ever, and it's just like fine, but also like y'all are supposed to be rulers of these kingdoms and these cities. Like, why don't you have like bigger picture decision making abilities instead of just these impulsive, I want what I want, so I'm going to do it, instead of like, the assault really got to me after a while, because it got so repetitive, and it was every single man, and every single man wanted to, get with her, and it was exhausting. I said this already. I'm giving it a 2.75, which I hate, but I didn't like it. The first half was fine. It was really the second half where it was just attempted assault, and nothing ever happened, but the continuous threat of it was so draining. And I'm just so tired of fantasy that still relies on that as a trope, especially fantasy written by, let me fact check before I say these words, especially fantasy written by a woman in 2020. Like, what are we doing? Why is this still a thing that we're doing? I'm done. I finished it. I cannot tell you how badly I wanted to listen to something else when I was grocery shopping this morning. But the challenge was to read one book at a time, and yes, I could have DNF'd, and maybe I should have. Maybe if I had DNF'd and then rated it, it would have had a higher rating. It was really those last 100 pages that got to me. But, and also, she is such a dummy about her husband. And the motherhood thing almost never plays in. The motherhood thing finally became kind of a plot point at the end, but she barely thinks about her son this whole time. Even though multiple people are like, are you sure your son's safe? I don't think your son is safe. Like, you left him and you think he's safe, but I don't know if he's safe. And she's never like, oh shit, maybe I should get home and make sure he's safe. I mean, she's trying to get home. I didn't like it. We are moving on. I need to take back, I just filmed my September wrap-up, so I gotta take all the library books back and then pick up some beautiful books that are waiting for me at the bookstore.
I can't wait to show you guys. I'm so excited. And then I do get to start something else. Thank goodness. The choices are The Dark Lord's Daughter by Patricia C. Reedy. This is middle grade. I'm leaning this direction. I think this is going to be a good recovery book, I guess. Rebound. I think this is probably going to be it. But then I also have Rebecca to read. And then I've been saying I want to read Macbeth this fall, but now I don't know. Now I'm questioning that decision. I'm so mad. But this is where reading multiple books at a time sometimes saves me, is because I'm always in the middle of something that if I finish a book and I didn't like it, or even if I loved it, I'm already in the middle of other things. So I don't fall into a reading slump because I have other things that I'm already invested in, and now I am not, and I am just mad that I read that book. I'm gonna go get some serotonin. Let's go get some serotonin. Are you ready to see what I got at the bookstore? I'm so excited. I've had this pre-ordered for months. It's the new covers for the Alana books. I got the hardcovers. I don't know why. I'm so excited. I have been, okay. Focus. Okay, here's book 1. Oh, so pretty. And book 2. Book 3. Oh my goodness, she's so pretty. And book 4. And I actually, okay, so you may know this already, but if you don't, I started off this year rereading this series, and I reread the first 3, but I hadn't gotten to the last one yet. And I think I might read this one so that I can have read the 4th, because I haven't reread it yet for the rest of the year. But oh, I'm just so excited. I've been looking forward to these for so long. I'm just so happy they're here. And oh God, look how pretty they are. Oh, look how pretty she is. Oh, I love it. I love it. Still cannot replace my mass market paperbacks with the original covers, which I will never get rid of, but I can't read those anymore because they're falling apart. So it'll be nice to have copies that I can read. I'm just so happy. Oh, I had them out of order. There you go. That was a good serotonin hit. That replaced the yucky feeling from not liking The Wolf of Oren-Yaro. And I did listen to a little bit of Dark Lord's Daughter. Got like 20 minutes into the chapter, but that is okay. I'll keep going. It's very much a Patricia C. Reedy book so far. Y'all, I want to start a new book so bad. Oh, okay. I'm not doom scrolled, but I was compulsively on my phone, scrolling on Instagram for a bit. And now that I've finally disconnected myself, I can tell I was on my phone for too long because I want to start a new book so bad. I was looking at my TBR for October and looking at what I needed to get from the library, and then looking to see what was available through Overdrive. And I was able to download How to Excavate a Heart by Jake Maya Arlo, which is on my TBR, and I have it. I could start it. It's right there. I am on chapter 6 of The Dark Lord's Daughter, and I am really liking it. I really love Patricia C. Reedy's brand of lighthearted fantasy. Let's talk about this, and maybe if I talk about this, I'll distract myself from how badly I want to start that. Or Rebecca. I really want to start Rebecca. Rebecca is definitely a book I'm going to have to double up. That is not I'll need to have something else going at the same time, and I want to read Rebecca so that I can listen to the episode of Novel Pairings podcast where they talk about it. I mean, yeah, I could listen to the podcast episode without having read the book, but I want to read the book. And I need the carrot of the episode to get me going. But anyways, okay. Dark Lord's Daughter. The beginning of this, Kayla and her adoptive mom, Ricky, and her brother, Dar, something? Dell. It's Dell. That wasn't even close.
are at the state fair, and it's like the day before school starts, and they're walking around looking at things, and then they go to watch this performance that sounds like kind of like a medieval times style thing. And one of the knights comes up and he bows to Kayla, and he says he's been looking for her for the last 10 years because she is the daughter of the Dark Lord blah blah blah. Zavriel's. Okay. Dark Lord Zavriel. And then he does a thing and whisks the three of them into this other world and reveals that Kayla is actually, the daughter of this Dark Lord and was sent to our world to protect her when she was a baby, but now it's time for her to come back and take her place as a dark lady if she would like. But the fun part is, when they came through, because they're in this magical world, all the stuff that were in like Kayla's backpack and her mom's purse that don't fit change into something else. So her mom's violet flip phone turns into a purple messenger mouse, which is super cute. And Kayla's tablet turns into this familiar. It's this little winged creature. That's what her tablet turns into. And anyways, it's just so lovely and so funny. And she always has this lovely sense of the absurd or the ridiculous. Her voice is just so familiar. I've been reading her since I was 8. That's a long time. I've been reading her. Oh my God, I have to do math. Let me see. I've been reading her for 30 years. So yes, there was a moment where her mom pulled handkerchiefs out of her bag because that's what her tissues, like her Kleenex, turned into. They turned into handkerchiefs. And if you've read the Enchanted Forest Chronicles that like dealing with dragons is a part of, then there's a big thing about handkerchiefs in those books. And I like got emotional about handkerchiefs. I'm having a time, y'all. I don't know what's happening, but I am going through some things. It is lovely. I just also want to be reading another book. I want something else for my attention to flip-flop on. I know. I'm actually probably not going to read. The kids are watching Howl's Moving Castle. So I'm probably just going to go watch Howl's Moving Castle because I love it. But then also it's like, oh, I could reread the book, or, oh, look at all these things. I just got to write it out. It'll be fine if I just write it out. Okay, I'm going to go.